In this video, I'm going to show you how I went from zero to making over $1,000 a day as a Squarespace web designer. When I look back, this framework that I'm going to train you on now was stupidly simple, to be honest, but it took me 4 years to piece it all together. So the goal of the video is basically to show you everything that I've learned over those 4 years condensed into, I'd say, just over an hour of training. That means you don't have to go through any of the trial and error that I went to, and you can just take a prescriptive list of do this, this, and this, and you'll be successful. I want to make it as simple and easy as possible so you can get started today earning more as a Squarespace designer. Obviously, this is a long video, so before we dive in, I want to be super clear on who it is and who it isn't for. This video is specifically for Squarespace web designers or those who want to become Squarespace web designers. So you are good at what you do, but your leads just aren't predictable or consistent. If that sounds like you and you're ready to put the hard yards in every single day, step by step, then stick around and I'll show you exactly how I do what I do and how you can replicate that exact framework. But if you're none of these, then this isn't for you. It's only for Squarespace designers and it is going to be hard work. So now you know whether it is or it isn't for you. If it is, then grab your notepad and pen, put away your phone, and for the next hour or so, we're going to go deep and you're going to learn everything that you need to scale to 6 figures and beyond as a Squarespace web designer. Okay, welcome to the full guide on how I make $1,200-ish a day. So what are we actually going to learn? Well, we're going to go through flicking the switch of inaction, and then we're going to talk about the niche problem. We're going to go through building a Kaizen funnel. Then we're going to go through experiencing it, and then we're going to go through systemized rate increases. So once we've put everything in place, how do we keep increasing our rate to earn more and more and more money? And just in case you're wondering who the hell am I to be able to teach you about all of this, what I'm going to do is give you the quick 30-second elevator pitch on my credentials. So I'm Sam Crawford. I'm an official Squarespace partner. There's about, 12 of us in the world, 2 of us in the UK. I'm an accredited Squarespace expert, so I'm on the Squarespace Expert Marketplace. If you're looking for a Squarespace designer, you'll find me on there. I'm a Squarespace community leader, a multi-award winning Squarespace designer, and my design studio, by Crawford, you can look it up by crawford.com, does multiple 6 figures a year. And finally, I'm also a leading Squarespace coach to fellow designers who want to scale to 6 figures effectively, efficiently, and pretty quickly. And it's this final point here that I'm going to be distilling down into this training to get you on your way to your first 6 figures. So with all of that out the way, let's get into the good stuff. Point 1 is flicking the switch of inaction. And what I mean by this is so many of us are stifled by our own fear, and that fear is killing your progress. You need to stop being afraid to take action on a decision, and a lot of people don't take action because they haven't given themselves permission to take action on anything really, if it goes ever so slightly over to this side of being a risk. And so what we need to do is make our, not so much our risk tolerance higher, it's more so making our bias for action stronger. So whenever you know that realistically you should be doing something, we need to start flicking that switch to actually take action on it. And something that I teach in my program is money loves speed. If you get feedback on something that you could change in your business, if a good opportunity comes along or you need to send a pitch off, whatever it is, if a decision needs to be made and that decision is a little bit scary, you should take 24 hours, but it should take no longer than 24 hours. Realistically, the decision that you make within the first hour is probably going to be the decision that you make if you were to take a week, 2 weeks. So why not just make that decision in a day? And it's this bias for action that if you can train over time, is going to start helping you earn more money. And this is just like foundational. It's not going to be the exact thing that makes you 6 figures because it's not too tangible. But by having this behavior in place, what you're doing is setting the foundations to be able to action everything else in this training and in business in general longer term. So fear is killing your progress. That's just the undeniable truth. And the way I frame this to myself is inaction is than the wrong action. So if you take the wrong action and it's wrong, then you know, okay, well, I don't do that. Then, you can tick it off. You can say, okay, well, this doesn't work. Back to the drawing board. Whereas if you are just inactive, if you're passive with your career, with your goals, whatever it may be, you'll never know what truly works because you've never tried different things. And so you'll always just be stagnant and roughly at the exact same spot that you've always been. And so when it comes to designing a website, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go away and design this homepage. I'm going to take initiative. I'm going to take it upon myself to maybe add something cool to the design. Or when it's quoting for a website, it's okay, I'm going to try this software to quote, or I'm going to try a different email template to see if that helps the acceptance rate of these proposals, whatever it may be. You will never know until you test it all out. And this is what I had to get over, because I realized for the first couple of years when I was not just designing websites, but trying to make other like agency things stick, I wasn't really pushing myself to take action on things because I was so scared. It's quite a buzzword, but I had quite a scarcity mindset where I was so afraid of taking the wrong decision that I didn't really make any, and so nothing really moved forward, and I was stagnant for a couple of years. And the way I got over this was I realized by taking no action on anything and making no real decisions of substance, I just stayed there. But not only that, everyone else around me was going forward. And so realistically, I was going backwards. If you're not moving forwards, you're not only, but you are actively going backwards. And so you need to frame it like this, because if you have a scarcity mindset, you want to hold onto what you already have, which is fine. But by doing that, you're not holding onto what you have because it's slipping through your fingers. Think of it like the money that you're making right now. If you just try and huddle it, you don't try and invest it, you don't try and implement new ideas, you don't try anything really, you just stick to what you know. Let's say they're all dollar bills. Those dollar bills are slipping through your fingers because you're going backwards, and okay, you're earning a set amount, but that set amount is worth less and less and less each year. So that's the way I thought of it, and I think for most people, by framing it like this, it's going to help. So all that to say, fear is killing your progress. You need to reframe the way you think about business and the way you think about taking action. So develop a bias for action, and to get over the fear of trying new things, think of it as, if I don't try new things, then I'm actively going backwards. So which leads me on to this question. So what are you doing right now? And is it really working for you? So I would say, if you've done this training in particular, because I've said, okay, here's an exact monetary value that I make, here's how to do it, I would assume that you're doing a little bit less or substantially less, and you want to learn how to. And so you need to be honest with yourself and detach your ego from your process, from your work, from everything. Just crush the ego. If what you're doing right now truly works, you probably wouldn't be on this video. This is something that I had to get over. I had such an ego around the process that I was using and the way I was doing everything, and I thought, no one can teach me how to be better. And then over time, you take little bits and bobs from people around the internet, in groups, in courses, whatever, and then you start implementing it slowly but surely. And then you look back after a couple of years and your process is completely different, your business is completely different, and your income's gone from there to, off the screen. But I was only able to do that once I detached the ego, and I asked myself this exact question. I said, okay, well, Sam, what are you doing right now? And why are you looking at all these trainings, courses, YouTube videos, all of this? Why are you looking at this? Because if what you were doing was working and it was scalable, then all you'd have to do would be to execute on exactly that constantly, and you'd grow. Why are you looking for other ways to do things? And it's because it wasn't really working for me. I knew that there was so much more potential within this exact vertical. So just not even within design or web design, within Squarespace web design. And I realized, okay, I still need help. So I asked myself this question. I would implore you to ask yourself this question. Okay, why are you watching this fella talking about his Squarespace web design journey? And if the answer is, okay, it's not really working for me, then just drop the ego, try and implement. And, if you need clarifications, I'm going to drop a ton of links in the description, but you can always just comment below. I get back to every comment that I get. So if you do need any clarification along the way or at the end of the video, whatever, just drop it below. Anyway, so massive action equals massive change. This screenshot here is from Akil, and he's in my coaching program. Basically, on the last point in terms of like detaching from what you do, your ego, blah, 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 he was doing something completely separate to Squarespace web design. It was off the top of my head, I'm going to say something about acquiring leads for dental companies maybe. But anyway, he was like, okay, this isn't quite working for me. I know I want to change. And so I want a massive change. I want to be earning way more. I want to be more fulfilled. I want everything to be better, basically. And so what he done was he took massive action, and he done that over, I think, 3 months. So he joined the program about 3 months ago, complete Squarespace novice, and he pivoted from being a lead generator but he committed to the action. So if we go back, flicking the switch of inaction, that is the whole point of this segment. He flicked it. He went from coasting in one vertical to committing to another. Squarespace web design. Like going from leads to Squarespace web design is completely different. But what he done was he took that massive action and he committed to it. So he made his decision and he said, okay, I'm going all in. And this is applicable to everyone. So even if you are a Squarespace web designer watching this, it should serve as a reminder to not try and do all of these other things. So something I'm trying to hammer home to every single person who watches my training. I've got educational reels on Instagram. Whoever watches my stuff is that if you're going to be a Squarespace web designer, be a Squarespace web designer. Don't try and be a copywriter. Don't try and be an SEO specialist. Don't try and be a content marketer. Don't try and be a social media manager. Don't try and be a photographer. You're just getting lost in the weeds. Just do one thing and do it really, really well. This is something that I struggled with when I mentioned before about being like an agency owner or trying to scale that side of things. It just didn't work because I was being dragged in all these different directions and it was just a mess because I couldn't laser focus on one thing. So what Akil's done is instead of trying to do leads and Squarespace and maybe something else, he focused on, okay, I'm just going to be a Squarespace designer. And then he sent me this the other day, 5,700 splitting with the guy, someone's referred him some work. So let's call that 2,850, could be wrong, something like that. And then 7,200 and then 5k. It's absolutely ridiculous. But this come 3 months after switching and committing. So he flicked that switch of inaction of coasting in one thing and just went all in on this. So this, it really just serves as a reminder to flick the switch, start, and just never stop. Simple as that. And realistically, what other options do you have? So this is the last slide in this segment, and it just, again, serves as a reminder that why wouldn't you do this? Why would you stay inactive and stagnant? And I see so many people in this space, in web design in general, to be fair, but they just they've always been there and they've never pushed on. They just kind of always middle around, just maybe getting some inbounds here and there. They don't really go out and pitch too much. They're just there. They're between $2,000-$5,000 a month, and it's always just been there. And they've done that for 10 years. Their process is the same. All their social medias are the same. They're just the same. And if they're happy, that is great. But I know for a fact that so many people have aspirations and ambitions to earn so much more, but they never really take action because they're scared of, well, what will happen to my $4,000 a month? What if I let this client go and this client go? But realistically, if they had a set path to follow and just flick that switch, then they could, 10x that amount in a year or maybe a couple of years. And then they'd look back and they'd go, why didn't I start that 10 years ago when I first started out? Why didn't I commit to incrementally getting better and better and better? And this only happens when you flick the switch of inaction. You've got to be open to change. You've got to be open to feedback. This is such a big thing. Like, always drop the ego. If someone has a bit of feedback and you can implement it, just do it. Take that 24-hour window, go away and just implement like crazy. So I've done quite a bit of waffling there, but what I'm going to go back through is just a quick recap. So basically, you want to flick the switch of inaction from scarcity and, hoarding everything that you have to being open to change, open to better methods and striving to be educated, which is, I guess, is why you're on here anyway. And this also serves as a good intro into everything else that I'm going to teach you now, which is basically, once we've done this little mindset bit, it's going to be the actual actionable steps. So flick the switch because fear is killing all of your progress. Not only are you staying stagnant, you're going backwards because everyone else is going forwards. You've got to ask yourself this question: what are you doing right now? Is it really working for you? If the answer is no, it's not working for me, then you've got to open yourself up and take massive action. And realistically, what other option do you have? If you know that the answer to that previous question is no, it's not really working for me, then you know exactly what you have to do and you just need to flick the switch. And so now I want to move on to the first properly actionable step to pretty much immediately start earning more and get quick wins. And that leads me on to that you need to quit your niche. So this is actionable. Just stop trying to niche into something that's not just Squarespace websites. Because niching when you're a Squarespace designer is nonsense. It's unfathomably silly. And this is the undeniable truth about Squarespace niching. So when I say don't niche, I really mean don't niche. There's just no need. When you're a Squarespace designer, all Squarespace websites are built with the same core components. To build a website for a hairdresser takes the same blocks, the same sections, the same use of colour as to build a website for a bank, for instance. Yes, the styles are going to be different, but those styles are of the same components and building blocks of the platform. If a client knows that they want a Squarespace website, they want a Squarespace website. So just be the specialist at Squarespace. And I'm going to come on to that in a couple of slides. But that is the undeniable truth, that it's just not needed. And there's a reason why people say the dream of the niche. They'll say, well, I'm going to coach you how to niche into Squarespace websites for healers or for yoga practices, whatever. But there's 2 points to that. So point one is, realistically, that sort of smaller business won't have the budgets that you want to start earning more money. You look at a yoga practitioner and then you look at a global non-profit, let's say. Who do you think is going to give you the best opportunity to start earning $1,200 a day / 30-something thousand dollars a month? It's obviously going to be more of the non-profits than the yoga teachers. And all this to say, point one is, realistically, if you're going to niche, don't niche into what a lot of people do, which is healers, creatives, yoga teachers, studios, like smaller businesses. If you want to make big money, that's not really where you want to be. And as I say, you don't need to niche, but if you are going to niche, try and niche into bigger businesses like accounting firms, finance firms, non-profits, stuff like that. But I digress. Don't niche. I'll come on to that in a minute. Just do not niche. So I'm off track a bit there. Why do people say the dream of the niche? Well, because that helps them differentiate their offer. If they can say to you, okay, well, I'm going to teach you how to service only this type of client in this special way. What they're selling is like a special secret formula for success, but only their way works because it's a special niche. It's a special mechanism. And that's marketing 101. We just don't need to do that. So, I mean, is this the pot calling the kettle black? I don't know. But when I coach people, I just coach them how to be a great business person with regards to being a Squarespace web designer. There's no specific niche other than just Squarespace. I'm not teaching you anything secret. It's just what's in this presentation, but just way longer and way more in depth, which is essentially be of great service, do a really good job, always pitch, develop an effective funnel, and do it consistently over a long period of time. But that's not sexy. And realistically, if I was to come in and say, there's this one special niche that will net you 100k a year, then your ears might prick up and you go, oh, tell me more about this special niche. But the special niche is Squarespace. Squarespace is the niche. If you're a Squarespace web designer, don't go any further in. You don't need all these different levels of niche. You don't want to be the person who says, I'm a Squarespace designer for only female-led yoga practitioners in Texas. Let's just reverse all of that and say, I'm a Squarespace web designer. That's it. There's no need to pigeonhole yourself. It's not niching, it's pigeonholing when you go further down. If you're a great Squarespace web designer, someone who knows they want a Squarespace website doesn't care about, but you don't just serve small clothes shops in Spain. Oh, well, then I don't want to work with you. No, they care about your skill with the platform and all of the amazing different Squarespace websites that you create. So do not niche any further. If you take nothing else from this training, just take this, and it immediately opens up your world to opportunity. So this is the actionable step. Stop positioning yourself as a Squarespace designer only for a certain type of business, because you're just capping yourself. So that's step one. Squarespace is the niche. Forget everything else that you know. Don't fall into any other marketing mumbo jumbo from other coaches or anyone else just telling you to niche further. Just do Squarespace. Okay, and now this is probably the juiciest part of the video, and that is a Kaizen funnel. And when I say Kaizen, it's essentially the art of iteration. So I'm going to show you how to build, ideally, what I think is the ideal funnel. But I got here via the art of iteration. So every time someone made a comment on, this could be better, I didn't like this, whatever, I made the funnel slightly better, tightened it up a bit, refined it, until I landed on this, which I'll show you in a moment. But basically, this may still not be perfect. If you implement this, let's say, and a client says, I don't like the way you used your onboard form, for instance, then you could go, okay, well, maybe I need to change my onboard form questions, and then just iterate. It's called the aggregation of marginal gains, and this is essentially just trying to get 1% better in 100 different parts. So I think it was Team GB, cycling team, the coach come up with this aggregation of marginal gains, and he said, okay, we can't make the cyclists like 100% better overnight, but what we can do is change 100 different things and get that 1% better, and that will add over time 100% to the performance of the cyclist. A couple of examples of what they'd done was they kept the bikes in like a dust-proof container, so the micrograms of dust didn't affect the bike's weight, and I think didn't affect the cyclists' immune systems or something like that. And then they take the same mattress and the same sheets and the same pillow everywhere, so obviously they'd be traveling a lot. They would take the same bedding everywhere to get them a consistent night's sleep, and just tons of other. And so this is the same principle that I apply to this. I'm not on the same level as a Team GB cyclist. The same principle applies in that if you can make all these small tweaks to your funnel, to your systems, to your processes, to however you run your business, then over time, let's think of it, instead of a 1% gain, it's a $1,000 gain per year. If you can make 100 different points 1% better, then I know this is overly simplistic, but you're looking at like per year. Now, that's not going to happen immediately, but if you can implement some of what's in this training, then same principle applies. Okay, so hopefully all of that makes sense. So we'll move on. Now, this slide is called You've Been Lied To. A bit dramatic, but it's also kind of true. So now we're going to move on to the funnel, processes, and this is something that I bang my head on a wall about constantly, because so many people in the space have these gargantuan processes that they will take a client through about, and I'm not exaggerating here, 5 to 10 different forms and elements and whatever it may be in their process just to get started on a project. And all of this, that can take like a month, sometimes even longer. The client's fatigued and bored, and it just drags out a project. And not only that, it makes everything so much more complicated and complex than it needs to be. Then I roll along and I start telling people, well, I only use an 8-question onboard form and a Google Drive folder. And then I track my current client roster in Notes and what I need to do for the day in Trello. That's it. That's the entire process. They almost have a heart attack. It's like, no, you can't do this. You can't have such a simple process. How can you possibly deliver good results for a client if you don't take them through 15 different softwares? Man, why isn't your tech stack costing you $1,000 a month? I take my clients through this and this and this. And I sit there and I think, why are you doing that to your client? Why are you putting them through all this torture? When a client hires us as a Squarespace designer, what they want to do is say, hey, I want this from my website. These are all the assets that I have. Go away, make the site, come back to me when you've made some good progress. Let's get it built. I want to be hands off. Because when you pay someone to do something for you, you don't want them to come back to it question for weeks and weeks. You want them to take that stress away. Let's say you take your car to a valet. You don't want the valet to ring you up and go, do you want us to hoover the crumbs out of the handbrake? Or do you want us to wash the rims? Do you want us to take the gravel out of the tyres? No, just go and do it. I've told you what I want. Go and do it. Do your job. And this is something that, again, I was guilty of. I used to think, okay, I need this bloated process. It's not professional if I don't take a client through 4 different legal forms and then get them to sign this and this and then give them this special software to extract their brand strategy and copy and imagery. It's just an absolute load of tosh. So this is why you've been lied to. You do not need big bloated processes. I'm going to show you the entire funnel. I'm going to tell you exactly how I structure all my projects and just give you some actionable steps that will hopefully give you permission to sort of strip everything back, be lean, and start taking the stress out of the project for your client. So that was me having a whinge. Anyway, these are going to be the key components of your funnel. So first off is a solid portfolio. Every single funnel should be built on a solid portfolio. You can have the best funnel in the world, and if your portfolio is just full of terrible websites, then they'll go all the way through the funnel, look at the portfolio and go, oh, actually, They don't know what they're doing. I don't like that. I'm not going to work with them. So you should always start off with a fantastic portfolio. But obviously, I'm going to cover all of these in depth. I'm not just going to give you a surface level list. So anyway, solid portfolio, reliable sourcing. So when I say this, what I mean is inbound and outbound every single day. This is something everyone trips up on. So I want to go through this in quite a bit of detail as well. Track your leads simply. I touched on it just before, but you don't need to have another software for tracking leads and moving them through the funnel. Just track them with, well, I'll give you it now. Just track them with notes, but I will show you that soon. Remove the friction to start. So what we want to do is look through our entire process and remove every part where there's friction from a client coming into the funnel to them paying their first invoice. So we want to remove friction at every point possible. The doctor approach, I actually have a video that's pre-recorded that I'll show you on this. Next stepping, so this is essentially how to properly outline the next steps of a project to move it along at the pace that you want it to move along. Then the proposal, this is what everyone gets wrong. Honestly, I mean, everyone gets this wrong. So I'll show you how to do that. Then following up, so how to actually follow up, how to get responses, how to get people to pay, and how to follow up without annoying clients. Then the project, so how to actually run a project from start to finish. And finally, how to get paid, which is what we all want. So that's our list. That's what we're going to go through in just the funnel part. Now, let's get started with portfolio. When I say you've got to have an amazing portfolio, what I mean is you have to be able to display your work. So if you, let's say, especially if you're just getting started and you don't have any live sites to actually showcase, what you want to do is go to a site called goodbrief.io, and I'll link that in the description. But what this essentially does is it gives you AI generated briefs that you can then follow, build in Squarespace on a free trial, and then you can showcase on your portfolio. So all you have to do is take the name of the company, the description of the company, and what Good Brief tells you to do, then design a homepage, screenshot that homepage with a Google Chrome plugin called Go Full Page. Again, I'll link that down below. And then just put that in your portfolio and make as many of them as you want, because realistically, it's exactly the same as a real client saying, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is what we want from a website. And then you going away and building that website. It's exactly the same. The only difference is there isn't going to be a live link. But on my portfolio, I don't even have live links. And I'll show you my portfolio in a moment, which is exactly how I tell all my students to set up their portfolio, because basically you want to keep the client on the rails of where you want them to go on your website. And if you give them links to click to go to other websites, you might lose them. So it doesn't matter whether it's a real client or an AI client. You're still showing your skills. You're still showing that you can work to a brief, and you're still showing what it looks like. So why would any new person looking at that portfolio care? And now what I want to do is show you my portfolio. So now we're on the By Crawford website, and I'm going to head over to portfolio. I'm telling the visitor this is a Squarespace website portfolio, a little bit about me, and then here are some of my works. Not that many. Well, not that many for me, because it's coming up to about 400 sites, but if I had 400 sites in here, I think I'd crash the page. So anyway, the things that you can take from this is that it needs to be visual first. When someone lands on the portfolio, they don't want to have to see what your work is like. They don't want to have to sift through tons of things. So the best way that I found to do this was just to display these landscape thumbnails all the way down the page. You don't have to look at the full screenshotted page to get a glimpse of, my sort of work. If you wanted, you could just scroll, okay, I like this, blah, blah, blah. If you wanted to learn more, okay, let's say hover over this. Oh, he's worked with Dame Kelly Holmes Trust. Great. I can explore that project. We go into here, and then this is the portfolio page that I suggest people do. So the way it looks is this is the client, this is who they are, and then just make sure that they know client, this is the industry, and then this is the problem and how I helped them win. So title, description, client, industry, how I helped. And then what we do is we add a full screenshot of the site here. Because as well, another thing, a client will get a website and they may, they'll definitely take control of it and start changing things. But when they change things, it might start looking a little bit not how you designed it, shall we say. So by getting this screenshot and showcasing it just as you'd finished, it looks its best, let's be honest. And instead of a link to the site, I say, are you ready to start your project? get in touch today. Simple. That's the only link on the page except for the link to the next project, which does the same thing. So here's the title of the project, who they are, client, industry, how I helped. And we go down, we can see here is the website. You ready to start? Okay, do you want to go to the next? And it just carries on and on and on. So if a client wants to see more, they don't have to click off somewhere else. They can just keep going through your site and they keep getting peppered with this call to action, which is get in touch today. So they click get in touch and here we go. It's simple. Give me a name, give me an address, what's your budget, what's the message, submit. Oh, you want to learn more about me? Okay, well, I'm keeping you within my ecosystem. Simple as that. Oh, you want to check out a few more links? Well, okay, I'll keep you on the website. You want to stay in touch? Okay, well, you can stay in touch here. Okay, you're still in the footer. Here's my email. If you want to get in touch with something bespoke, you can do that. And this is how I keep people within my, I call it an ecosystem. So my website, my socials, newsletter, whatever it may be, as long as they're sort of within touching distance, then I can pretty much guarantee that at some point they're going to come through the funnel. So this is why the portfolio is the most important part, because everything else is built on that. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you can see how to set up the portfolio. And now I'll take you back to the training and we'll go to the next point. And our next point is sourcing. So you'd be surprised, or maybe you won't be surprised because you're the same. But when I speak to people, they're not pitching for work. And if they are pitching for work, they're not doing it daily, certainly not doing it multiple times daily. And this to me is the most insane thought process possible. If you think to yourself, I want more work, and yet you're not going out to get more work, then that's just like, that's crazy to me. If you want more work and you're desperate for more work, why are you going to sit back and be like, okay, I'm sure more work will come to me because I'm desperate? That's just not how the world works, not how the universe works. You have to be putting steps in place to get that more work. Things aren't just going to happen to you. You're not just going to randomly win the lottery. Even with the lottery, you need to have bought a ticket to win. The same goes for getting leads. So you're not going to land big projects if your portfolio isn't right, if your funnel isn't right, if you're not pitching constantly. It just blows my mind. So if you think this way, that, well, I'm sure leads will just come to me, well, they're not going to come to you, because why would they come to you when there's people like me, people like my students, there's other people as well, obviously, but they have a great portfolio. They're pitching for work constantly, which helps them build a better portfolio. Their process is just nailed. The funnel is immaculate. They're doing blog posts, they're doing newsletter content, social media content, all of this. Why would someone overlook them and come to you? It's just not going to happen. And that's why you want more leads, is because all of these other people are hoovering up all the good stuff because they've refined their process. They know what they need to produce and how they need to go out and hunt for leads. They know exactly how to do that. That's why they're winning. That's why they're doing great. And now you know that, this is how you can catch up. So sourcing just essentially means you need to be putting yourself out there. You need to be putting yourself in the shop window. And to do this, what I recommend is a few different places. So first off is Upwork. This is probably the best freelance platform in the world. There's tons and tons, especially Squarespace leads. There's tons of leads in general, but there's probably like 20, 30 projects every single day coming onto the platform that will immediately increase your income. Just land a few of them and you're golden. Basically, you want to just be searching, and then all of the results that come up, just go through them maybe at least once a day, but ideally 2 to 3 times a day, just so you're right at the beginning. So, you know, you can try and be one of the first sort of 10 proposals. Obviously, make sure your Upwork profile is optimized. Make sure you have some portfolio items in there based on what we've just discussed. You have your rate. Make sure you fill in your profile image, where you're from, a nice bio about yourself. I think you can add a video in there as well. Make sure, basically, when they take you through the setup wizard on your portfolio, do it all. Because again, why would someone go to you when there's another Squarespace designer who has set up everything? So make sure that everything's set up, then start pitching like crazy. Same goes for people per hour. This is another version of Upwork. There's not as many projects on here, but it's still good. When it comes to pitching for work, I always say this is the only time in life in general you should spread yourself thin, because there's no downside to being everywhere when it comes to pitching. So try and be on as many platforms as you can, go on at least once a day, and pitch like crazy. Obviously, you have to have your foundations in place with a portfolio and a profile. Same goes for LinkedIn. Make sure your profile is great. Make sure it's, got all of your relevant experience, good profile image, good bio. And then all you want to do is search Squarespace in the search bar, go to posts, and then sort by region. So essentially what that means is every 24 hours, you're checking every single post that mentions Squarespace. No one does this. The only people that do this are my students and me, and we're cleaning up on LinkedIn. So make sure that you check that. I don't know really why I'm giving that away for free, but check that because it's a superpower, honestly. Then Dribbble and Behance. So Dribbble and Behance are similar. They're design portfolio websites, but they also have jobs boards. And where a client's going to look when they want a great designer, well, they're going to go on design-led jobs boards. So make sure you're on here. Make sure your portfolio is filled in. Make sure your profile looks good. And then you stand a really good chance of landing work. Then we've got Fiverr. This is just like the lower ticket version, really, of Upwork. So you are competing with a lot of low ticket people. But if you're maybe just starting, or you want to land a few more projects to sort of refine your process, get more proper portfolio items, and really just get stuck in, then Fiverr is great, because that is where tons and tons of people go. You can actually set up offers on Fiverr as well. So you can set your price, and if someone likes it, they can buy that package off you. And then forums, these are kind of the same thing, forums and Facebook groups. And this is essentially Squarespace forums, obviously, and then Squarespace Facebook groups. So people are always posting, I'm looking for a web designer to do this or this. Can someone help me with this? I'll pay you hourly, whatever it is. There's always job opportunities floating around in these places, because like what I've just said with Dribbble and Behance, if someone wants a designer, where are they going to go? Okay, they're going to go to design-led jobs boards. But if someone wants a Squarespace web designer, a little bit more niched in to Squarespace, well, they're going to look where all the Squarespace designers hang out. So a forum and a Squarespace Facebook group. Pretty simple. Now, there are quite a lot of other places you can spread yourself, but for the sake of brevity, but it's a pretty long training anyway. But yeah, there's probably, I don't know, maybe 15-ish places I pitch overall every single day. There's a ton more in my actual program, but these here are the main ones. So if you're not doing any outreach whatsoever, if you're not doing any outbound, this is where you'll get the majority of your results. Probably 75%, I'd say. These core components, if you can nail pitching on there every single day, then your income is going to start rising quite a considerable amount. Okay, so that is where to find leads. Now, how do we track them, and how do we do it simply without having a big bloated tech stack where we add little color labels to each person? Oh, are they a hot lead? Are they a cold lead? Let's just stop all that and be simple. So this is how I track it, and I'll show you now. Okay, so welcome to my notes. This is my entire tracking system, and it's actually my entire tracking system for life. As you can see, like, there's tons of random stuff in here. You can get a little bit of an insight into my life. But what this is here is my funnel tracker, or my leads tracker. So we have pitches, which is people who I've actively fired off a pitch to, so like a proposal, and then follow-ups, which are people who I've had talks with, but we haven't got to the point where I've had to send a proposal yet. So I'll show you how everything works. Not that there's that much to show. So we'll start with pitches. So under pitches, we have the client name, and a dash, and then how much I've pitched them for. Client name, how much I've pitched them for. Client name, how much I've pitched them for. Blah, 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 blah. Then under here, we have follow-up. So people I've been speaking to, but we haven't got to a place where, okay, I know exactly what they want. They have, they've submitted their onboard form, and I can actually send a proposal. So people I'm in talks with, you can see here. Obviously, you can see there's like a substantially higher budget to some of these, which is why it hasn't quite got to the proposal point yet. But you'll also see in brackets, this is when I am going to follow up with these people. So again, they don't need a special tag or a color. It's just, this is who they are. This is how much you're thinking here. This is when to follow up with them. That's it. And so when I've followed up with them, what I do is I just put a tick in here, like so. Simple as. Let's look at Chad. Okay, I've sent off the proposal. I haven't heard from him. I'm going to follow up with an email. Hey, Chad, just making sure you got this. Is everything okay? Let me know if you need to speak. Tick. Let's say I send that on a Tuesday. I'll follow up the next Tuesday. Once I've got these all ticked, I know, okay, well, I don't need to follow up with anyone yet. And that's on a Tuesday, let's say. Okay, it gets to Friday. And let's say Cameron, Francesca, and Jarvis haven't responded. So I'll untick these on a Sunday. And then I know, okay, well, I need to follow up with these on Tuesday again. Tick, Tuesday. Okay, let's say Adriana comes back and she says, okay, ready to start. I've signed the proposal. Paid your deposit, we're done. Okay, do I need to do any special color coding? No, I just delete it because it's no longer a pitch. It goes into the current client roster. So this is the current client roster here. And I go, okay, I'm going to put Adriana in here now. And I know that the ball is still in her court because she needs to supply me with the assets. So I say, okay, that's ticked. And anyone who's ticked, the ball is in their court. If it's not ticked, then I can do something on that project. The ball is in my court. So for instance, with CHH, they've supplied me Figma designs and I'm just building out the site. So whilst this is unticked, I know, okay, I'm still building out pages. But then once I'm done and I send an email to them asking for feedback, tick. And if I go into this in the morning and I'm like, oh, okay, I've got everything ticked, then I can just go and work on some admin or record videos like this. And then under this line is another client. And basically this is a long-term client in terms of I know that I won't be getting a response from this client for quite a while. So it's almost like the back burner. These are ones that I'm actively working on. This is a back burner client. So for instance, Comnet, these guys at a conference that they were doing, and I knew that I wasn't going to hear from them for a month to maybe 6 weeks. So what I did was I had them down here. And then when we were ready to go again, they got moved back into the current client roster. So that's how I set it up. Notes is free. It's super easy to keep track of, and it's almost impossible to get wrong. But people are attached to their softwares. So I understand if you want to use something else, but this is the way I do it. And this has been working for me for, honestly, about 5 years. And I said it right at the beginning, my design studio, it's doing multiple 6 figures a year. And yet, this is how I track clients because it's the best way. It's the most efficient way. It's not even a case of cost, obviously. It's just a case of what's the best way to track things. That means I can instantly see what I need to work on. Well, who's not ticked? Okay, I need to work on that. Simple as. So that's how I track my funnel in terms of pitches and how I track my current client roster. Now you know how to track your leads stupidly simply. I want to move on to removing friction in all areas. And we do this via this list. So these are all the touch points where we need to remove friction for a client. So the first one's a call. We want to remove friction for booking the call. So how do we do that? Instead of going back and forth with an email, oh, I can do 2 p.m. GMT. Oh, you're on the west coast of the US. What time's that for you? Oh, just send them a Calendly link. I will link everything in the description. So I'll stop saying that I'll link it in the description. Everything's in there. So for the call, you link Calendly. Simple as that. It's free. Don't use anything else. Just use Calendly. They book a time. It's in their time zone. And they can see, okay, it's 5 p.m. my time. Bang. You get a notification. So-and-so is booked in. They get a notification with an email, with a Google Meets link or a Zoom link, whatever you've specified, and then bang, it's done. Then when you're on the call, you need to do something called the doctor's approach, which is in the next slide. But basically, you'll go through that, and then we'll do something what I call next stepping, which is just a fancy way of saying outline the next steps. So essentially, what you want to do while you're on the call, you don't want to go, okay, that's great, bye, or say, oh, I'll email you. I mean, I'll email you is a little bit better than just saying bye. But basically, you want to make it crystal clear to the client what is going to happen now. So what I always say is, hey, client, really enjoyed this. Thanks for telling me all about your problems, all about who you are, what you want, blah, blah, blah. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send over my onboard form. You're going to fill in the onboard form. Then I'm going to send you a proposal. That's all you need to outline. That is visualizing the next steps for them. So they're not waiting, thinking, should I email them? Or, well, in fact, the clients are not going to think that. A client is going to have all of the options. So if you don't outline what you're going to do and you don't do it, then they're just going to go to the next person who does do that. So next stepping, make sure you do that. Then you want to send the proposal. I use something called Bonsai. I'm not going to say it, but okay, I'll say it. The link's in the description. Everything's in the description. The proposal is always through Bonsai. And I'll show you an example of what my proposals look like now. So what you're looking at here is a proposal on Bonsai. A client will see this. I'll just send them the link. Never send a PDF invoice because it's just so old school. We don't want that. You may as well be sending a carrier pigeon. So you want to send a link. to essentially what is its own web page that gives the client an opportunity to click accept and click pay on that proposal. And I'll show you what that looks like on their side in a moment. But basically, I outline the process like this. I outline a timeline of how it's going to look. I outline the fee summary, what I'm going to do, and how that fee is structured. Now, usually I will do a 50-50 deposit, but sometimes, you've got to be flexible for a client. And so they just paid 35% up front. It was a 3-week project, so I knew, okay, well, I guess I'll get the 100% within 3 weeks anyway. So I was flexible, but I would always say take 50% before anything starts and 50% just before you do the handover training for the clients. And we'll come on to that in a little bit. As you can see, that was accepted. Client paid straight away. And then I outline next steps in the proposal as well. So these are the next steps. A little spiel about me, some of my qualifications, and Bob's your uncle. Now I'm going to show you how this looks on the client side now. This is what it's going to look like on your client side. So you can see it's pretty much the exact same, except you can't edit anything. 50% deposit required, blah, blah, blah. And then it says up at the top, deposit payment required to accept proposal. So what they're going to have to do is click pay deposit. And this is where we remove all of the friction. So as you can see, it's created a payment gateway. There's no need to go through a chain of command. There's no need for the client to come back via email and say, hey, we accept the proposal. Can you send us an invoice? Can you do this, this, and this? It's all automated. There's no need for bank transfers. Just pay with the card. If they want a bank transfer or even crypto transfer or whatever, I have payment instructions in the proposal, so they can have the option to do whatever they want. But here, they know to accept the proposal, there has to be a 50% deposit. And so they can pay that straight away. We're removing all friction to us getting paid and then the client getting started, which is the most important thing. And they can even autofill if they want. We're just making it so easy. So put your card details in, pay the deposit, it automatically then accepts the proposal, and then we get started. It's as simple as that. So that's proposal. Then we've got content collection. So again, people use all this specialist software. It's a load of nonsense. Just use a G Drive. Honestly, there's not even a need for Dropbox links. That is how simple it can be. So what you want to do is you go into Google Drive, you set up a folder. Within that folder, you have 3 more folders: images, video, copy. Within the copy folder, you have a document where the client can just drop all their copy in. In the images, they can obviously just dump all of the images in, and the video, they can dump all the videos in. And then that's it. The client can just be hands off. There's no friction. They just dump all the content in. You've already got all their answers from the onboard form, and I didn't actually touch on that, but the onboard form is through Bonsai as well. Super simple. Name, email, deadline. Give me 3 sites that you like. What pages do you want? What's the vision for the website? And then there's a couple of other things, but they're the main core elements. You've got all the answers that you need from the onboard form. That's it. No need to do anything else. So then what you want to do is start the build. You go away and you build a homepage. Don't jump the gun and try and do everything at once. Just do one homepage. That's all you need. And then what you want to do is update the client. So whenever you send an update, you want to send over obviously the link to the site. And a little tip is that you want to load the password into the URL. So what you want to do is send over the Squarespace site URL. So let's say mysite.squarespace.com, then /, password equals, and then whatever the password is. This way the client gets logged directly in, and you've again removed all friction. They don't even have to enter a password. It just goes straight on. So they see the site. Then what you want to do is send over a Loom video. So if you haven't used Loom before, it's a screen recording software, much like what I'm using now, that allows you to just go through the site and say, hey client, this is what I've done. This is why I've done it. This operates like this. We've got this animation, whatever it is, and you can explain everything. So instead of the client getting a link to the site and just being like, oof, bombarded, you can explain everything. You can hold their hand through it. And again, you're removing friction because they don't even need to understand. You are giving them the understanding. You're giving them the nuance. You're giving them everything they need to go, okay, right, I understand why it's done, and now I just need to leave some feedback. And the beauty about Loom is they can leave feedback at timestamps through the video, so if they wanted to do that, they could. And I give them this opportunity with every single milestone. So once we've done the homepage, we can then do like a few more pages, we'll do a Loom, a few more pages, we'll do a Loom, etc., etc. But if they want to leave more bespoke, targeted feedback, we have a feedback software called Markup, which I'll show you now. And what you're looking at here is Markup. So all you want to do is paste the URL in. So like I told you before, you want to put in the Squarespace URL and then / question mark, password equals, and then whatever the password is, that will log them straight in. So you paste it in, and then you're going to open it up, and this is what it looks like. So you can just go through like this, or the client can go through, and then let's say they don't want this. They just click on it and go add a comment, remove logo. They'd click post, and it would bring up the comment here. It would tell me what page it's on. And when I click the feedback itself, like this, it takes me to exactly where it is on the page. So it's super simple for me to see where they're targeting instead of trying to visualize the feedback and sort of dissect it. It just says exactly here, do exactly this. It's super prescriptive. Then you can just tick, it's done. So this client had 178 bits of feedback. A lot of it is just copy, by the way. I'm not a terrible designer. It's just like, you see, I think we can delete this, blah, blah, blah. But basically, imagine them trying to communicate 170, well, it's 188 now, 188 small bits of feedback in a call or in an email. It would be like, I don't know, it would be like a huge scroll, wouldn't it? It would be ridiculous. Whereas on this, they can just go, click, change this, and I can go, okay, or I can leave a comment and say, hey, what do you mean? And then we can have like a chat in there instead of constant email back and forth. Or if I get it, just click tick and you're done. And then you can also do it for mobile view as well. So they can leave comments on the mobile view. They can leave comments on the tablet view. They can do basically any comments about anything all around the site. It is amazing. All you have to do is click share, grab the URL, and it's done. So that's Markup. And the reason why there wasn't that many sites in there is because it's free under 5 sites. So I always just delete the site when I'm done. So that's Markup. It's free. It's amazing. And it's going to make your life easier and your client's life easier. So make sure that you're using this. And that is feedback. So we've got 6 done, 3 more to go. Getting paid. This is pretty simple. So with Bonsai, I've shown you the proposal. You can send an invoice exactly the same way. So it's going to give them the invoice. It's a link, takes them to the page. You can see the invoice, and then you've got your payment on the right side. They'll pay the invoice, and then you can move on to the handover. So I always say, I touched on it a little bit before, but 50-50. So 50% before anything starts, 50% before you hand over. So the great thing about being a web designer is that the client cannot access the website until they've paid. I used to be a copywriter, and I had a couple of instances where people would take my work that I'd written and they'd use it and they still hadn't paid me. Or, in fact, what they would do is they'd take my work and then they'd say, oh, we have 30-day payment terms. No one does this with web design. Even if they may try it, well, they just simply don't get the website. So realistically, those 30-day payment terms do not work, because if they want the website, they have to pay now. So what I do is I say, okay, we do the 50% deposit, I'll do all the work, and then right at the end, before we do handover training and I get you on the site and hand over the actual ownership of the website, you need to pay that second 50%. Once you've sent that invoice, they've paid it, it's all good. Then what you do is you record a loom, much like when we do the updates, but this time you're going through all of the site, you're saying this is how you change your blocks, this is how you change your fonts, blah, blah, blah. And you explain to the client how to actually use their site. A lot of people, or a lot of coaches, a lot of people who write blogs, whatever, they will say, oh, just use this handover template. If you're charging $10,000, $15,000 for a website, and then you just send a client a PDF, how disrespectful is that? If they're paying you such a high amount, then the least you can do is spend 20 minutes recording a loom, going through their website and giving them training bespoke to them. It doesn't matter that it's going to be roughly the same content for every website, because it's just those little touches that make the client go, oh, actually, this was an amazing experience. There's nothing that I haven't had from this designer. So record a loom video, send it to them. They have that forever. If they have a new starter in the business and they need to train them on the site, they have that. And then once the handover training is done, what I tend to do is say that they can have me for free for 30 days just for email support. It's not going to be like super code intensive, but you know, if they come across anything or I've missed anything out in the training, then I'm always happy to help them out. And then we want a review from them. So I always say 2 weeks after, just to make sure that they're entirely happy with the entire service and the aftercare. And then all of this goes together in the review. I don't want to make them feel like, okay, handing over, give me the review, bye, done. I don't want it to feel like a smash and grab almost. So that's why I take my time with the review. And that is the list. So that is how you remove all of the friction within a project. Now we want to talk about the doctor's approach. So basically, in a nutshell, the doctor's approach is you go to the doctor, they don't try and cure you straight away without knowing what it is that you're going in to see them for. And so it's exactly the same on a call. This is how we structure our calls. And because I've recorded this before, I had a nice edited short made, so I'm going to show you that instead of me talking now. How to structure a discovery call as a web designer. It's so simple. So I always teach people the best way to do it is not to sell yourself. Now that sounds counterintuitive, I know, but if you hop on a call with a client and the point is to be a discovery call and you just come at them like, oh my God, I can do this, they're going to be turned off straight away and they're going to be thinking, I just want to get off this call. The best way to approach it is just to ask the client, tell me a little bit about you, tell me what you want from your site, and tell me how I can help you. This is something that I call a doctor approach. And essentially it means when you go to the doctor doesn't just go, I can do this for you, I can do this for you. No, they say, okay, what's up? What's your symptoms? How can I help? You rattle off those symptoms and then they give you the solution. And that is how you should structure your calls as a web designer. And that's the doctor's approach in a nutshell. So really, this is how you should be approaching every single call that you go on. Don't ever try and sell yourself. It's counterintuitive. What you want to do is act pre-vetted and as if the job's yours and that the sales call isn't a sales call at all. It's an onboard call. That's how you should approach it. Then following up. So I tend to follow up every single week until I get a response. This way you're not constantly peppering the client and you're giving them enough of a window that even if they were to complain that you were getting in touch with them too much, you could go back and realistically say, listen, I'm giving you an entire week just to reply to me with a yes or a no. Like, I'm not hassling you. I'm just checking in weekly to make sure I get a response. And this is completely fine. I've never had a client, blow me off or, tell me where to go. So this is probably the best way to do it. Is just follow up once a week, every week. Sometimes maybe if I'm really chasing it, I'll do twice a week. But once a week, it's a good rule of thumb. And that is the Kaizen funnel. So to recap, you want to iterate constantly. You want to refine, make it perfect. And, as times change with the times. Then gone over how you've been lied to. You don't need as much as you think you need. Then we've gone over the key components of the funnel. So you need a solid portfolio to build it all on. You need reliable sourcing, so inbound and outbound. And just to touch on the inbound stuff, the inbound is what a lot of people rely on anyway. So that's what you're probably already doing. But outbound creates the inbound. So the more outbound you do, the more portfolio items you have, the more satisfied business owners you have, the more people spreading word of mouth you have, the more content for social media you have. So all of that outbound creates better inbound over time. And as long as you keep doing that daily, then your funnel is going to be stacked. Then we've got tracking your leads simply. So just use notes or a form of notes. Then we want to remove every single part of friction from the process, the doctor's approach, how to actually show the next steps in a project, how to send a proposal, what mine includes, how to follow up, the project itself, how to run it, how to get feedback, etc., and then how to get paid. And now let's move on to experience nurturing. This has been probably the biggest game changer for me, or at least it's been the most powerful sort of turbocharger for my business over time. And basically what experience nurturing is good old-fashioned business sense. It's giving the client an experience that is even better than the outcome that they wanted. So not only do they get the outcome, but the experience towards the outcome is exceptional. It's beyond what they ever thought they'd get from a web designer. And this leads me on to the fact that you've probably been burnt before. In business, a lot of service suppliers are just nasty people. They've been coasting for years because people need their service, and so they don't even have to be nice. This is especially true for web designers and Squarespace web designers to some degree. Some of them hate their clients. They think, oh, it's me versus the client. This is out of scope. I'm so clear with all of the deliverables that I lay out, and if a client asks me for an extra page, then I tell them no, or I charge them an extra $500,000. These people, for the most part, have been stagnant at the exact same level they've always been because they're not willing to put in a little bit of extra work for a client. They're not willing to go the extra mile, and because of all of this, they're bitter, and they pass on that bitterness and that poor experience to their clients. They want to rush through projects to get to the end. They tell the clients, no, that can't be done constantly instead of going away and checking. And anything that falls even towards being out of scope is met with, no, can't be done. No, out of scope, more, charge more, charge more. A client, even if you get the right outcome, is going to probably just hate you and never going to recommend your services to anyone else. Because when a client recommends someone, or when anyone recommends anyone, It's a direct reflection on their character and who they are. So if they recommend someone who gives a poor job, then it's a direct reflection on them. And so if you give a client a terrible experience, they don't want someone else, even if they might get a good product, to have that same experience. And this is why experience nurturing is one of the most powerful tools that you can have. I always come from the angle with my projects that whilst the customer for the most part is always wrong, when we're working on a project together, they're always right. So whatever they ask, I will accommodate. Obviously, if I think it's a stupid idea, I'll say, listen, in my years of experience, maybe we do it this way. But if that's what you want as the customer, you can have it. I always try and say yes to things. And it's because I go above and beyond, even if it's a little bit out of scope, that people recommend me. My clients love me. And I love my clients because we have a great experience together. They come in, it's a super easy onboard. Whenever they ask something, they probably add a few more things in. It's fine. I just do it because at the end of the day, if a client's paying like 10k for a website, then the least you could do is just add a couple more pages in. It's not hard. If those extra couple of pages land you 2-3 more projects, you're looking at up to 30k, maybe more in just referrals alone. Why would you cap yourself by saying to the client, no, it's going to be $200 extra per page? Just take the loss. It's not even a loss because you're not paying anything. You're just doing it for another couple of hours. Just do those couple of hours. Give the client an amazing experience and reap the benefits long into the future. It's not like you finish a project and there's a 1 month period where you'll get all your referrals. You're going to get referrals for life if you give a client a good experience. So this is something to bear in mind. Just go back to good old-fashioned business principles. The customer's always right. Give them the best experience and the best outcome. And they're never going to recommend anyone else. Business owners know business owners. And business owners are often part of tons of other networks. And this is how you build a 6-figure income. It's exactly how I built my 6-figure income. The majority of my work is referrals from networks now. That's it. Because I do such a good job. My clients love me so much because I give them such a good experience as well. They recommend me to everyone. Oh, you need a website, talk to Sam. Oh, you need to tweak this, go to Sam. Oh, you need some advice about maybe switching your website, go to Sam. Look at Sam's YouTube videos, look at Sam's blogs, whatever it may be. If they hear the word website, oh, go to Sam. But if they'd have got, a nice website from me, but then I wrestled them on every single point, no, you shouldn't do that. No, you can't do that. Then why would they ever go out of their way to recommend me? They just wouldn't. And all this to say that you've probably experienced this as well with a ton of service providers, not just online. You have plumbers, bricklayers, landscape gardeners, whatever it is, because their services are in such high demand that they don't really have to worry about referrals. They take liberties. They don't really give an amazing service, and sometimes even the end product isn't great. They roll in, they're rude, they're abrupt, they come in, get the job done and go. There's no form of experience, there's no explanation, there's no what a client of mine calls bedside manner. There's none of that. It's just in, out, I'm off. At the end of the day, you're not going to recommend them to someone because it's a terrible experience. And I keep saying that, but experience is the name of the game. Obviously, you have to nail the outcome, but the journey to that outcome is equally as important. And this could be the new you. So imagine this. You are where you are now. And then over the next 12 months, you start to implement everything we're talking about here. On top of that, you start giving your clients an amazing experience. You start outbound pitching, getting more clients in, and then all those outbounds that you give a great experience start to become inbounds. And then more inbounds creates more inbounds. You give them an amazing experience, more inbounds. You're still outbounding every day. Just think about how many clients you can get and the size of the budgets that you can demand when you're giving an amazing outcome, an amazing experience, and you're going above and beyond for these people. It would be strange if you weren't making at least 100k a year if you were doing all of that. And that could be the new you. You literally, all you have to do is just take what we're talking about in this video, apply it, and go all in. There's no need to niche. There's no need for fancy processes. Just give people a great experience. Just keep pitching. Just keep producing brilliant websites. Just keep delivering on an experience, and just try and over-deliver on that experience as well. That's the name of the game. If you can crack that, you've cracked it all. And imagine what life's going to be like when you're pulling in 100k a year, maybe even more. So I'm pulling in, 1,200 a day. You're looking at, over 300k per year. And that figure is climbing and climbing and climbing because of the experience that I provide to my clients. If it wasn't for that, then my business would be stagnant. It would be where I was 4 years ago. And this is where you can be. And I had to make tons of mistakes on the way. And now I'm condensing everything that I've learned over those years into this training so you don't have to make any of those mistakes. Imagine that. You don't have to make any mistakes. You just take what you learn here, apply it for the next year, and make the same amount of progress in 1 year than I did in 4. And that could be the new you. So I really want to hammer this home that there's no reason why you can't completely recreate yourself and live a life that you only dreamed of. Most people think, oh, you can't charge 10, 20 grand for a Squarespace website. Well, that's because you can't charge that. Because A, you don't believe that you can, and so you don't. And B, you don't deliver an experience that's good enough for Word to get around and be so powerful that the 20 grand clients end up coming to you. You're not doing that yet, but you can. Just follow these principles and you can be doing that in less than 12 months. So let's move on. 10-star experience. This is the crux of experience nurturing. And where this comes from is the Airbnb founder. I don't know his name, to be honest. But what he said is at Airbnb, they've done an exercise. So what's like a 1-star Airbnb experience? Well, you get there and the host's not even in the country. There's no keys. You have to go and buy a new Airbnb or a new apartment, whatever. Okay, what's a 2-star? Maybe you're able to get in, but there's rats or something in the apartment. 3-star, 4-star. Okay, what's 5-star? Well, nothing goes wrong. Everything works as it should. Great. 5-star is where most Squarespace designers are. And most designers in general is 5-star. So the client gets roughly what they wanted, pleasant enough. Okay, fine. That's 5-star. Nothing goes wrong. Okay, great. But 5 stars, 5 stars. If everyone's 5-star, how do you stand out? How do you charge more? How do you differentiate yourself from the crowd? And how do you earn more? How do you push through the limit that most Squarespace designers impose on themselves of like 5k a month tops? Well, we start to go through this exercise that Airbnb did. So what's a 6-star? What's a 7-star? What's an 8-star? What's a 9-star? What's a 10-star? And you get to ridiculous levels of stars. So for instance, what's a 6-star experience? Okay, well, you get there, it's all great, and let's say you've booked a beach hut on the beach, right? Obviously it's on the beach, but let's say you've booked this beach hut, and you get there, and the owner says, "Hey, I've got you a surfboard, so you can go out and surf." Okay, amazing. Let's say what's a 7-star experience? Hey, I'm going to pick you up from the airport, drive you here. I've got you some surfboards, and I've booked you some surf lessons. Okay, what's an 8-star? I've done all of that. And I've booked you in at the best place in town where no one else can get reservations. It's booked up for months, but I got you a reservation. Okay, what's a 9-star? What's a 10? Okay, what's a 15-star experience? Oh, I've resurrected the Beatles and they're going to come round and play a private gig in the living room. You know, you get stupid with it. And then we dial back to, okay, what star experience can we actually provide? So for us as Squarespace designers, it's going to be, okay, 5-star it's just fine. You get the site. You know, it is what it is. 6-star, oh, you're going to get bespoke handover training where I do a full 20 to 30 minute walkthrough of your site and teach you exactly how to use it so you never have to hire a web designer ever again. Great. Wow. He's gone above and beyond. What's a 7-star experience? Not only that, but you're going to get me for an entire month for free to help out with the website if anything goes wrong or you have any questions at all. Just email me. Oh, wow, he's gone above and beyond again. Oh, we've got a problem 6 months down the line. It'll take 2 minutes to fix. Sam, how much? Oh, I'll do it for free. What? It's 6 months down the line, he's going to do it for free. Well, yeah, of course I am. If it takes me less than 10 minutes, I always do it for free for a client because, A, I'm a nice guy, but also those 10 minutes may just tip the scales in my favour when someone mentions a website around my client and they think, oh, Sam didn't just ghost us. Sam wasn't just a mercenary who come in, gave us this site and then got off. He supports us and continues to support us. What an amazing guy. That's a 10-star experience. That might just be the push that they need to recommend me to someone who needs, you know, I had something a few months ago where a client of mine recommended me to a huge non-profit in America and the budget was $90,000 and their reference websites that they had on their request for proposals were 2 of my websites, one of them being my client's website. And that is the unbelievable benefit of just going above and beyond just a little bit. You never know what it's going to lead to until you look back and you see the path clearly. So try and give that 10-star experience. Do this exercise, work through it. Okay, well, I'm a Squarespace designer. What does my 10-star experience look like? What does my 11-star, 12-star? You know, maybe 15 stars for you is, oh, I'm part of a band, I'm going to fly over and I'm going to play some unreleased songs for a launch party for the website. You know, just get stupid with it and then work back to see, okay, what can I actually do? And realistically, seamlessness is the goal. So when I talk about removing friction, that is a huge part of the experience. If you can make everything seamless from start to finish, that adds to the experience again. Think of it like this. We want to get the client in smoothly, take them through the next steps smoothly, take them through the entire build out and feedback smoothly, handover smoothly, 30 days free smoothly. And then if anything comes up, we help them nice and easy, smooth as butter. Everything is seamless. When they think of you, they think, he just made life or she just made life so easy. It was a breeze. Not only did we get the amazing website at the end, the whole journey to get there was seamless. There was not a single point of friction. If you can deliver a product and cause zero stress for the client, they'll want to kiss your feet. It's like you are a unicorn, because every single service provider out there causes stress because they can't do the job, or, you know, they lie about being able to do the job, or they just are constantly asking clarification questions and going back against the client and wrestling them on every point. Just try and be, I call it firm with a bend. So, you know, be firm on, actually, I've got this idea for your website and I think this is correct, but if the client wants it, the client wants it. So you've got to be willing to bend and work with the client, not against them. And so that is experience nurturing 101. I'll move on to systemized rate increases. So when we talk about systemized rate increases, what I mean is this is just how to jack up your prices. We know how to service the client. We know how to get to the end goal. We know how to provide an amazing end goal. We know how to set up the funnel. We know how to do everything, basically. How do we start charging more? That is what this segment is all about. And I want to dig into a little pain point here. And that is, doesn't it annoy you that there are other Squarespace designers like me, like my students, and like, actually, to be fair, a ton of other Squarespace designers that are charging $10,000 easily for a website, and then on top of that they're charging $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 plus for more bespoke websites. And it's not like you can't build them, because these aren't coded from the ground up. These are built using sections and blocks, some CSS, some JavaScript, and some HTML, which are all just copy and pasted from plugins on the internet. So you can do it. Doesn't it annoy you that these people are doing it? And doesn't it almost feel like they have a secret sauce that you don't? Well, realistically, they don't. They've just been doing the right actions every single day. And okay, the right actions to you right now may be a secret because you don't know what you don't know. But these aren't like closely guarded secrets that only the elite have. It's just simple basics every single day. But the thing is, you've been led down blind alleys by other coaches, YouTubers, bloggers, whoever it is that are teaching you about business. They're teaching you something that keeps you spinning your wheels. The amount of people who are in my program, not trying to bash on people, but that are in my program who've come in and said, oh, you actually teach what to do instead of just useless theory, which I'll come on to in a minute. But the amount of people that have come in and said that is insane, because what so many people will do, because it's good for clicks, is they'll do a 15-minute video saying, this is all you need to be successful in business, which looks good on YouTube. It looks good to maybe crop down into shorts, but you don't need that to be successful. What you need is to watch something for, I don't know, 5 hours maybe, and just absorb it all, and then never watch a YouTube video ever again until you're doing 100k. So something like this, for instance, I'm assuming this video is going to be over an hour. All you need is to take the prescriptive knowledge that I give to you in bullet point format. I'm literally doing a presentation. It's not glitz and glamour. It's not all singing, all dancing. It's just a presentation. But just take all of this, go away and apply it. That's all you have to do. And as I say, these people are teaching one thing and doing another. And so all of that to come back to say, what you need to do is go and find the people who are actually doing what you want to do and emulate that. That's it. That's all I done when I started. I found who all the big dogs were, or who the big dogs were who were actually earning the money that they said they were earning, and I just learned from all of them. And that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm not calling myself a big dog, obviously, but what I'm trying to do is just distill everything into one easy video for you to go away and action. So I'm trying to get you riled up, at the world and at everyone else for earning all this money that you could be earning. So all this to say, you need a bit of fire in your belly. I'm trying to give it to you. You should be annoyed that other people are getting the jobs that you should be getting. So let's move on to how you can actually get to that level of income. And I've put just raise them lol. So obviously there's more nuance to this. But what you're seeing here is a comment that I had on some free training that I did on basically how to raise your prices. And she actually became a member in my course. She's called Lee. And basically she said, I put my project price up by 2k. My first ever 5k proposal was today accepted. And this was like 5 or 6 months ago. So she's gone on to get like, I think at one point she had 16 clients on the go. It was absolutely insane. But sometimes there's no secret. How do you raise your prices? Well, you just raise them. Now, I've had this conversation a lot recently because people are like, how do I raise my prices? And I'm like, well, what are you expecting me to say? Do you want me to tell you like a special system to do so? How am I going to do that? It's almost like saying, how do I blink? It's like, well, it's hard to describe, isn't it? Just blink. The way I put it to people is every single project that you get is an opportunity to up your prices. Let's say you have a new lead come in. You try a new price. So let's say your current base price for a 4-page website is $2,000. This new lead comes in, you look at it and you say, okay, it's roughly the same. I'm going to try 2,500. If they don't bite, okay, whatever. They're gone. Try on the next one and the next one. And then one will stick. Realistically, if it's only a $500 difference, the first one will probably bite. And what you do is you get another couple in at that price. And then you go 3,000. Another couple in. Once you get comfortable charging it, you add another 500. Maybe you then go, all right, I'm at 3,500. I'm going to go 4.5. And so you then go 4.5. Until you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable charging 5, 6k and I'm not batting an eyelid. And what I also tell people, it's a good exercise to do, is your rate should really be whatever makes you uncomfortable. So let's say, again, you have a $2,000 package. I don't recommend doing packages. I recommend doing bespoke pricing for every single project because every single project is different. But let's say you did have 2k base price. What would make you uncomfortable charging that client? And you may come back and say, 3,500. I would be breaking my pants. And then I'd say, okay, well, add 10% to that and then charge the client that. So you'd be looking at, I think, 3,850, I think. That should be your price for that package. Whatever makes you uncomfortable is what is just past what you could confidently charge. So realistically, if you said 3,500 makes me uncomfortable, you could charge 3,250 with a straight face. You know, you'd send that off and you wouldn't be sweaty. You wouldn't be nervous. So it's just above anyway. Now you should add 10% on. You're almost there anyway. And it's just that little bit more that sort of gives you butterflies in your stomach, gives you sweaty palms. But the great thing is with this exercise is, okay, that's going to make you uncomfortable. And the 10% is going to make you even more uncomfortable. But you don't have to say this to a client on the call anyway. A lot of the time, it's just going to be a proposal. And as soon as a client clicks accept on that $3,850 proposal, that's your new rate. And that leads me on to this. Your rate is what somebody will pay. Are you worth it? So as soon as somebody pays that $3,850 fee for your base website, that is automatically your fee because that is what the market will pay. Okay, it's just one client, but you've got the proof of concept. Someone is going to pay it. And so now that becomes your new normal. That's the equilibrium. You don't ever have to go beneath that because you know someone will pay it. And if we look at it from a purely mathematical standpoint, you're getting almost the same amount for one project than you are two. So you can bide your time a little bit more because you have to do half the projects. Now, I know this is stupidly simple. Like, oh, well, you know, do half the project, just charge twice as much. Ooh. Obviously, it's incremental to get there. So let's go back to the exercise. Maybe for you, what makes you uncomfortable is 2,200. So to add 10% on, you charge roughly 2,400. And that would be your new rate. And someone will pay it. It might not be the exact next client, but it will probably be the client after that or the client after that. And if you have enough work anyway, that you can come into that negotiation with all the power, and by with all the power, I mean you have the power to walk away. So the person who can walk away from the deal holds all the power. So if you have clients to the side anyway, then you can just start testing this new rate straight away. You go, okay, well, I'm working on stuff anyway. If I don't get it, then it is what it is. I didn't want it at the lower rate. I wanted it at this rate. And, you know, nuclear option, if no one's taking you up on it, you can always go back to your lower rate. But realistically, most businesses have more money to put towards a site than they say. So I've had clients come to me with a 1k budget, and in the end, we've worked on a 4k website because they don't immediately want to put all their money towards a website. But if you explain it, you explain why your price is what it is, and you send a proposal how I showed, then it's going to be really hard to argue with. And so this new rate will stick. So all that to say, you need to be worth it. So you need to send a great proposal, you need to have a great portfolio, and you need to have confidence when charging. So send the email, send the proposal and say, hey, here's the price. And then just shut up. Let them go through it. Let them come back to you with questions if they need. And then hopefully they should click accept. And as soon as that first person clicks accept, that's your new rate. Now let's talk about your first 10K month. Realistically, you should be approaching this from the perspective of not if I hit it, it's when I hit it. I'm giving you every single tool that you need to hit 10K months with consistency and predictability within 3 to 12 months, depending on obviously where you're at now. So what we want to do is work backwards. What does a 10K per month designer do that you don't? So this is more an exercise for you. I can't tell you what they're doing that you're not, but I can give you some examples of what I do every single day that keeps me on top. And so just a few examples. I'll get up in the morning and I'll go straight for a coffee. So I'm getting some steps in, getting some fresh air, feeling energized to start the day. There's one thing. I'll come back and I'll work straight away for a few hours. So 3 hours of deep work. I have, let's see, can you see in the background? There, somewhere. Oh, can't do it. There we go. There it is. Okay. So basically, it's a lockable box. So I'll put my phone in there for 3 hours in the morning. So I can't go and I can't scroll Instagram, can't scroll Facebook, can't scroll WhatsApp, whatever. That goes away, and so I do deep work. I also have a blocker installed on my Google Chrome that stops me going on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Slack, YouTube, and then a couple of other things. I also have a Google Chrome extension that hides all my YouTube recommended videos. It hides the homepage, to explore random videos. The only thing I can access are people's videos that I've subscribed to. So that's just all these little things that other people do that you might not be doing. So there's that. Then I'll go to the gym to break the day up, get energized, whatever, work some stress out. Come back, shower, and then I'll go into client calls from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I segment my day into time blocks. I'll do the deep work at the start of the day. That's when I've got most energy. Then I'll go to the gym, break the day up so I'm not just constantly at my desk. Come back, into calls. I'm fresh after the gym, shower, energized from some food, whatever it is. And I can then deliver my best self to clients on the calls. At 6 p.m., I'll take a little break, go for a walk, and then maybe do another couple of hours of work. And then I try and sign off by about 9 p.m. Obviously, not every day that will happen. Sometimes work will spill over, but that is how I personally set up my days. So I'm not saying that you have to work from like me, 8 a.m. till maybe 8, 9 p.m. Obviously, I split that up. I'm only doing 3 to 4 hours of deep work, and the rest is sort of gym, eating, walking, calls, and then admin. So it's not like 12, 13 hours of full-on work. But those are the things that I do to stay on top. I make sure that I can get proper work in, not piecemeal work where it's just like little bits here and little bits there. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's what you're doing right now. So can you work backwards and think, okay, so that's what a 10K a month designer does. Obviously, I'm a little bit further than that now, but, those are the principles that got me from 10 to 30 plus K a month. How can you work backwards and reverse engineer that into your own life? So maybe you don't have a consistent wake-up time. Maybe you don't have a consistent time where you do your work. Maybe you don't actually break your work up and segment between calls and client communication and deep work, client fulfillment. Maybe you don't pitch every day. So every day, that's something else I missed. I pitch every day. So after I do the deep work, just before I head off to the gym, I'll do some pitching and what I call brand building. So going into Facebook groups and helping, going into the forums and helping, doing some messages on Slack, whatever it is, just sort of be everywhere and be seen by people and help people build goodwill, stuff like that. Are you doing that every day? If you're not, there's something else you can add in. And just start adding one thing at a time. So maybe it's a consistent wake-up time. Maybe you then start doing 3 hours of deep work in the morning, have a coffee, caffeinate yourself, and then just get straight into it. Maybe you then do, doesn't have to be crazy, just do 30 minutes of exercise. Makes your brain healthier, makes you healthier, makes you a better performer in business. And obviously it's just good to go to the gym for your health long term. Amazing. But if we're talking in a business sense, you're going to have better ability to deep focus. You're going to be sharper, you're going to be happier, you're going to be better on calls. Maybe you don't have a consistent sleep time. Maybe you just take random calls from clients. Again, this is something that so many people do, is they'll just let clients ring them. Or if a client does ring them, they'll always answer. If a client tries to ring me, they cannot get through to me. And obviously, some TED Start experience, this is something you have to train clients on, is that you can call me anytime. You can do it through my Calendly. So book in through my Calendly and you can have me anytime that I'm available. Otherwise, I can't deliver a website. If I'm just constantly on the phone to you, how am I meant to give you the best website possible? Because all I'm doing is talking. So you just need to set that standard with clients that I work on actual fulfillment and giving you the best product as possible from, let's say, 8 a.m. till 12 p.m. And then I have a 4-hour window where you can book me, call, free, 15 minutes, easy peasy. So that's just another thing that I do. And so I would just go through this exercise, sort of vision yourself as the 10K designer. Okay, if I was earning $10,000 a month, what would my life look like? Maybe it's something like me. Wake up 6:45 a.m, get ready, go and grab a coffee, quick walk, phone away, straight into deep work. Do the deep work, then I'll do pitching, brand building, grab something to eat, go to the gym. Come back, shower, grab something else to eat, go into client calls. After that, go for a walk, a little bit of work, sign off, good sleep, rinse, repeat. Simple as that. And if you can do that, it's not secret sauce. You probably knew all of that works, but you've never thought, oh, actually, I can apply that to my own life. Other people are doing it. I can do it. I can take little bits, implement it. And if I just do it every single day, then I'll be making 6 figures in no time. As I say, it's stupidly simple, but if you can do it every day, that is what works. And something else super important, bit of a tangent, but you need to stop listening to people online who aren't doing. The theory is useless. This isn't aimed at Squarespace specifically, but more so productivity YouTubers. They make all their money from YouTube and social media. They don't make it from the work that they teach you about. And even other like web design academies or whatever online, they're not web designers anymore. They're coaches. And so they're not at the cutting edge of their craft. They've stopped that and now they just coach people. So don't listen to people who just teach theory. They teach the high level stuff and they don't just give you prescriptive steps to actually get to where you want to go. You need to filter out these people who are just all marketing and no actionable steps. Unless someone can give you a step-by-step checklist of do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, and then you'll be successful, then they don't really know what they're talking about. Check them out, make sure that they're still doing exactly what they teach, and then maybe listen to them. I mean, you can do the same with me. I mean, I might be talking nonsense, so go away, check out bycrawford.com. That's my web design studio. In terms of Squarespace, I'm near the top of the game. I always give tons and tons of free advice away. I'm building websites every single month and doing pretty well whilst doing it. And all I want to do is help everyone else do exactly the same. But the thing is, I'm not just a coach. What I am is a Squarespace web designer who coaches as well. The exact same methods that's helped me become a good Squarespace designer. Does that make sense? So this is something I struggled with a lot initially, is I would take advice from all of these different people who really were just social media personalities. So this is something you need to bear in mind because you don't want to be dragged in a million different directions. And it's something that stifled my growth because I was like trying to implement one thing from one person and another from another. And it was all just theory from, honestly years ago that just wasn't relevant to me. And then I had to really just figure things out on my own. So that's just something to bear in mind. Then we have the question that you're probably asking, which is, will this really work for little old me? Well, yeah, obviously it's going to work for everyone. These are sort of timeless principles, but it goes a bit deeper than principles. Obviously, we've been through a super detailed checklist of things that you need to do, places that you need to pitch, how to service clients, how to give them the best experience. This works no matter who you are. It's not bespoke to a certain niche. It's honestly not even that bespoke to Squarespace web designers. Designers, web designers in general, service providers in general can use this. But I'm a Squarespace web designer, so why would I coach people who aren't? These are just a few people from my program. I want to show you that it doesn't matter who you are, you can do this. Like, you can earn a ton of money as a Squarespace web designer. And these are just some amazing examples. So here's one guy from the community. He landed a site for $2,800, This is like one of 5 or 6 clients that he's landed in less than 2 months, which is crazy. This was another guy who quit his job in September, which is crazy. Literally just quit and went all in and landed his very first job, $1,800 budget, which to me is just insane. For like my first job, I think was like $10, literally $10. So this is 180 times what I started at, and he's a complete beginner. That's insane. Then we have another student here, $2,500 project. One got an $8,500 project, which is mind-boggling, to be honest. And then the same guy who got this $2,500 project landed this $4,500 project. And then finally, someone who messaged me on Instagram not long ago, $4,000 of work in the last week. If you apply what I'm teaching you here, and this is completely free. You can go for the paid stuff if you want, but just take what you've learned for free, apply it, and you can start doing 6 figures. There's no reason why you can't even catch up to my level, $1,200 there or thereabouts daily in a couple of years, tops. You've just got to go all in, and this is the most important part. Realistically, you probably already knew what to do. I'm just bringing it together in one package for you, that's it, and giving it to you with a nice little bow on, that's it. And I'm also showing you that it's possible, because so much of a success is just seeing someone else do it once. It's like is it the 4-minute mile or the 5-minute mile? What was his name? Was it Roger Bannister? I hope I'm not butchering this, but pretty sure it was like something Bannister. Might have been Roger Bannister. Anyway, let's call it the 5-minute mile. No one had ever done it, and then he done it, and then immediately a few other people done it. And then now loads of people have done a sub 5-minute mile because they saw it was possible. And just seeing that it's possible unlocks a new level, because you're taking the shackles off and all that negative self-talk goes, or at least it should, when faced with hard proof. And this is the hard proof. There's tons more. If you go to sixfiguredesign.club or just go in the description and click the link, then you'll see literally a wall, and you'll have to scroll for about 5 minutes of these screenshots, because as soon as you start implementing and you just do it every day, you just start and you don't stop, then you automatically start to win. You genuinely become one of the top dogs. So, back to the question, will it really work for little old me? Yeah, 100%. So please just trust the process. And there's a few of my personal ones. Actually forgot that I added this into the presentation. But you can see I have a lot of people who message me, especially on Instagram, and they say, how are you charging so much for Squarespace websites? I only charge like $1,000, $2,000, and no one ever has the budget. And then I ask who they work with. So many people who work on Squarespace are working with, definitely small businesses, but specifically like Reiki practitioners, yoga teachers, cafes, small local businesses. And obviously, no disrespect, because they're amazing businesses, but they don't have these sort of budgets. That's what I'm trying to get across to people. You need to aim way higher. If you are only targeting smaller businesses, then obviously they're not going to have the budget, and then obviously you're not going to increase your income how you want to increase it. So start looking at the bigger picture and start to back yourself as a designer. If you can provide an amazing service to these smaller businesses, you can apply exactly the same frameworks and the stuff that we've talked about here and do it for big corporations. It's exactly the same process. So this is why I say as well, don't niche, because it's the same process, and yet the budgets are maybe up to 10 times higher. And just bear in mind that most of these, this was the 35% one, but most of these are 50% payments. So this was a 13k project. This was a 15k. This was, maths, 5.5, 7, 6, 9. Like, these are pretty sizable projects. And I can get, 5, 10, 15 of these in per month, because my funnel is refined. It's exactly what I've shown in this training. But the funnel itself has just had consistent leads coming through, because I've been outbounding and inbounding for years. So if you want to get to this level, that's what you got to do. Simple as that. I'm giving you the exact steps. You've just got to do it. And as I said a little bit earlier, if you do have any questions whatsoever, drop them in the comments. Completely fine. I'll get back to everyone. So, if you do have any clarifications that you need, drop it below. Now we just want to recap. So this is what we've learned. Flicking the switch of inaction. This is the biggest mindset change that you have to go through to start becoming the 100k designer. Then the niche problem. So essentially, Squarespace is the niche. Stop trying to niche further. Then the Kaizen funnel. So building a funnel that you constantly iterate and make better and refine until clients just have the perfect seamless experience. Then we've got experience nurturing, probably the most important part. Give a client the best product, But the journey to get to the end product should be absolutely perfect. It should be that good, that 10-star experience, that they want to tell every single person who'll listen about your service. Then we've got systemized rate increases, so how to identify what you should raise your price to and then how to get there. So now that you've learned all of that, you now have the simplest and most effective way to solve your lead problem, because following these steps will give you that consistency and predictability that you've been looking for. Can you imagine a reality where you're pulling in 5 to 10 projects per month and they've all got 5k plus budgets, where you're hitting 6 figures every year with ease and you've never got to worry where the next job's coming from? Well, it's literally right here. So you just follow all the steps that I've laid out for you today. Follow it to a T, execute on it daily, and you'll start to build that new reality. It's no longer a dream. It's a milestone that you're going to hit as long as you can execute daily. There's a ton of links in the description pointing you to absolutely everywhere that you need to go. These will get you started ASAP. And at the top, there's a couple of links just to get in touch with me personally, but I'll come on to that near the end. So now there's only really about 3 paths that you can go down. The first path is you just completely ignore everything I've just said. You can go back to banging your head against the wall because you can't get consistent leads and you feel stuck. Or path 2, take everything that we've been through and start implementing right now. What we've been through in this training is extremely powerful, and this is the perfect starting point on your journey towards 6 figures. It may take a little bit longer than you'd ideally like, but if you implement everything and you do it every day, you're going to get there. But if you'd like a deeper dive and you'd like to get there quicker, we've got path 3. And as you probably guessed, that is to work with me. As I said at the beginning of the video, I coach Squarespace designers how to scale to 6 figures and beyond quickly and effectively. There's a couple of links at the top of the description. The first one is a link to book a call with me. This is basically where I can answer any of your questions and we can see if we're both a good fit for each other. And the second link is a direct link to the program where you can sign up straight away, get instant access. You don't even have to talk to me. You can just get stuck straight in. And this is the program that helped Justin hit 10k of invoices in just 1 week. It helped Danielle get almost 8k in a month after just 2 months of being a Squarespace designer. And here, which is probably the best of the bunch, is Brian. So Brian was able to resign from being a school teacher and a basketball coach, and he was able to then go all in on Squarespace, support his family, and then be there to spend more time with his daughters, which I think is probably the best success story that you can have. And these are just a few. Honestly, if you go onto sixfiguredesign.club, you'll see just reams and reams of success stories like this. So go and check that out if you want. It's linked below. You can go crazy. Check it all out. But anyway, that is that. There's a ton of links in the description. So I'm going to link to absolutely everything that we've discussed in this training. I know it's been a long one, so there will be a lot. And if you're actually committed to growing your income with Squarespace and you want to make it happen alongside me, then use the links in the description. As I said, there's one to book a call to go through everything, make sure we're a good fit. Or if you want to go straight ahead, you can check out the website, sign up there. But ultimately, you can go down whatever path you want. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and hit subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.